Hi everyone, welcome to the Wine Archive. My name is Yannick Durbaca and today we're at Château Lagrange in Saint-Julien, and next to me you find Matthieu Bordes. What are we going to do today?
Hey, hello Yannick, welcome to everyone. Today I will prepare to you for you just an amazing blind tasting. Not blind, you bring one bottle blind, but especially a great lineup from the vintage 2000 to the new one, the last release vintage, the 2018.
Perfect.
So we will taste several vintage of Lagrange, and the idea is to show you how the wine evolved over the last 20 years on the estate, the philosophy of winemaking of the team, and I hope you will enjoy.
Perfect, thank you.
So let's go start to the 2000 vintage. Lagrange is a third classified grove based in Saint-Julien, located in the southwest of the appellation in one block. It's a huge estate, 118 hectares in one block. And all the 103 plots never change over the last 4 centuries. It's a very old estate, and since 1983, a Japanese family who were great wine lovers from Bordeaux, and especially left bench Saint-Julien, decided to buy the estate and invested a lot to renovate and put Lagrange on his level nowadays. They continue to work with us. I'm very honored to manage my French team. We are 5 enologists on the estate and some engineers as well. And the only goal we have to do is to make the best wine as we can. Vintage 2000. So this vintage, I started especially with this one because this vintage starts to show how wines should be nowadays. Mm-hmm. The blend is 76 Cabernet Sauvignon and 24 Merlot, which is close to the blend we are producing nowadays. Before, during the 80s, during the 70s, during the early 90s, we have generally more cab in our blend, but Merlot proportion was higher than nowadays. So 76 is close to that. On the nose, the color is beautiful. Lagrange is also very well known to keep the fresh color over the years, and usually looks most of the time younger compared to some of our neighbors.
In the nose, still very fresh.
Nose is very fresh. You have some mint aromas. You have also, because of the cab, you have plenty of smoky notes, tobacco, cigar butts, minty, eucalyptus, and a lot of freshness. You can't imagine that this one is over 20 years old.
That's why 2000 those. Wow. Lovely tannins.
Lovely tannins, very well dressed, smooth. Even if at the beginning it was a very tight wine, we need 6, 7, 8 years to start to drink this wine. Nowadays it's at its peak, and I'm sure this vintage 2000 will last for 2, 3, 4 decades maybe.
Wow, that's good.
Really nice wine.
Okay, so it's actually in its perfect drinking window.
Exactly. We started to open this wine to drink the 2000 since 2008, 2010. So we are at its peak, and I'm sure it will last 2, 3, 4 decades.
Wow.
Very nice.
Great.
I was not on the estate in 2000, but I read some comments, and the result was amazing. The weather conditions were not so great during the spring. It was a hot spring, but at the end of the month of July, it was just beautiful, very sunny, dry, until the end of picking.
Wow. It was a very good start.
Yeah. Now let's move to the 2005. I arrived on the estate at the end of 2006, so I was not in charge of the 2005, but I asked Marcel Ducasse, and I managed at that time all the end of aging at the bottling.
Okay.
So 2005, you know, is a great vintage in Bordeaux. We have to remember that it's sunny, not too many rain, a lot of concentration, small berries, small grapes, low yield, in the end a wine which is very powerful. But there is a particularity in our 05, and I remember when I arrived at the estate, I was a little bit scared about the blend because you know that I'm a fan of Cabernet Sauvignon. Yes. And on this vintage, we have 46% Cab, 45 Merlot, and 9% Petit Verdot. So I didn't know exactly how this wine would age for the next decades. Fortunately, we did some nice benchmark, and I was confident.
Okay. Well. So with the 9% Petit Verdot, you expect a little bit more?
Yes, the Petit Verdot, it's really interesting, especially it helps a lot Lagrange over the vintage during the end of 80s, but early 90s, because we call this grape variety, it's small berries, high concentration of tannins, high level of acidity, spicy notes on the nose, and it helps a lot the blend to boost it. So especially when the Merlot and the Cab are a little bit lighter, adding some Petit Verdot, and we have 9% in this vintage, gives a big boost to the mid palate. And it helps also, we call that doctor wine, the Petit Verdot. Okay.
It's hard to spit this wine.
Yes.
It's very hard to spit this wine.
Very smooth, silky, nice freshness as well. Even the degrees of alcohol is close to 13.5. The wine is very fresh, smooth. We started to drink this wine early 2012, after 6-7 years old. And now it's also at its peak, but with more fresh fruit compared to the 2000, which has a little bit more tertiary notes on the nose.
Yes. Lovely wine, wow.
Well, we open such good bottles, such a good vintage.
Yeah, the 05, I remember we tasted a couple of times, but it still surprises me every time.
Yes. Now let's move to the 2009. 2009, it was my first great vintage as Lagrange. As I told you, I arrived at the end of 06. And in 09, honestly, we called such a vintage rocking chair vintage. You could take my place in 09. We did everything in the vineyard very well, but the weather conditions helped us a lot, because it was sunny, it was dry. We had some rainfall when the vines needs to be refreshed. So all the weather conditions during the growing season were totally amazing. In the end, we succeeded to pick not too early. We take our time. You have to take your time to pick at the right maturity. We know that on our terroir, our soil allowed us to have a nice freshness, a good pH, a good acidity. So in the end, we succeeded to put 73% Cab in the blend and 27 Merlot. So the blend is close to the 2000 we have tasted, but the style of the wine is totally different, because you know that we have some global warming all over the world, and Bordeaux as well, but it helps also the Cabernet Sauvignon a lot to be more silky, more fleshy. So this wine, which was very surprising, it's how this wine was so drinkable, so approachable, even if it was a barrel sample at that time. Some red fruit, you have some black currant, black cherry. But the key points on this wine, I can't spit, the key point is how it's smooth and silky from the beginning until the end. Such an harmony we didn't have already, to my mind, in our wines over the last 2 decades. But the smoothness and the silkiness of the Cab were totally incredible this year. It was not necessary to add the Petit Verdot in the 2009 Lagrange. So when we don't put the Petit Verdot in the blend of Lagrange, we put the Petit Verdot in Les Fiefs de Lagrange in the second label. If you find a bottle of Les Fiefs 09, it's just totally amazing. But on such a vintage, Cab were so powerful that Cab it's enough.
Interesting. So for example, some of the viewers have a 09 in their cellar. They open it up.
Yes.
Do you advise to rest a couple of hours or
carafe? Yes, you can decant. You can decant for 30 minutes or 1 hour. It's fine. try to put the bottle, to stand up the bottle a few hours ago, because you have always small sediments. We don't want to do a lot of treatment of the wine. It's aging for 20 months in oak, stabilize naturally, but you have always some sediment. So stand up the bottle 1 hour ago, then decant for 30 minutes, 1 hour, and enjoy during your lunch. The problem is you need a magnum if you are two on the table, because one bottle is not enough.
No. You can't get enough of this vintage. No, it's my favorite one, yes.
Yes, me too. 14, interesting 14. Because 14 was considered as a very classic one. It's probably over the last decade the wine which is the vintage which is more close to 06, 08, 011 or 010. But with different level of concentration. 10 is much more concentrated than 14. But 14, what we did, the weather conditions in the spring were just very nice, beautiful, but the summer was quite cold in Bordeaux. Fortunately, there is a miracle which happens plenty of years in Bordeaux, what we call the Indian summer. And the weather conditions during September and October were totally great. We had 40 days with only 7 millimeters of rainfall. Wow. So we waited to peak. In the end, we succeeded to put 76% cab, which was, with the 2000, the maximum of Cabernet Sauvignon ever in our wines. Only 18% of Merlot, which was the lowest quantity of Merlot ever, and 6% of Petit Verdot. This challenging vintage, but quite good vintage, needs time to be approachable and to be well dressed. At the beginning, and if you taste the wine, you will have more freshness, more acidity compared to 09. Tannins of Cab, you feel them. Huh? Additionally, with 6% of Petit Verdot, they are a little bit tighter compared to 09. You need a little bit more time. If you want to open this bottle, if you have in your cellar, I advise you to decant 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. Okay. If not, you can wait 2 or 3 years more, and I'm sure that you will enjoy this wine for 3 decades.
Yes. So the reason why I spit is because we're going to taste a lot of wines. It's not that I don't like it, but the 14 is a very elegant wine already. Yeah. But it's, in my opinion, a little bit of an overlooked year, overshadowed. Yeah. 15, 16, people forgot about the 2014.
Exactly.
2014, if you can find it, it's, I think, a little bit more approachable for price.
And it was a really good value for money.
Voilà. Good one.
Now it could be interesting now, because let's move to the 16.
I'm very curious about the 16.
We had the 2009, then we have the 2010, which is also great, different style. In 16, I remember that from middle of June until middle of September, only 22 millimeters of rainfall. Not too hot, but really sunny and dry during the day, quite cool during the night, which is very good for technical maturity, but also phenolic maturity. A little bit as the 2009, we have nothing to do. Honestly, you pick at the right time, easy job, rocking chair vintage. To date, it was the ultimate generous vintage we have ever had at Lagrange. The blend, 70% Cabernet Sauvignon, 24 Merlot and 6% Petit Verdot. One of the key points on this vintage, it was, because we have a lot of data on the estate, it was the smallest size of berries ever. Means if you have a small berries, you have a lot of skins for a small quantity of juice. Means the ratio between pomace and juice is high, and with that you can extract a lot of things, and you have a full, a very fleshy and full-bodied wine. Okay. Okay. A lot of red fruit, blackcurrant, cherry.
And the alcohol is, I see,
13.7.
Okay. Wow.
And what is the strength, one of the strengths of the estate is the pH and the acidity. Even if you have a very ripe grapes, very ripe wine, you have in this wine 3.41 pH, okay, which makes a very good harmony and a very elegant wine.
Yeah, if I can say one word for this wine, it's very nice balance.
from the beginning to the end, it's smooth, and in the end, it's a little bit more fresh and maybe more intense than 2009. But this vintage will last for sure longer than the 2009.
Okay.
It's more classic than the 2009, yes, but silkiest compared to 2010. A sort of blend of both. Okay. I enjoy a lot this vintage.
So if you advise the viewers, if they have a 16,
wait a little bit.
Wait?
Yes, wait. If you are in a hurry, you can open it. 2 hours decant, but honestly, it will be at its peak in 2 or 3 years.
Okay. But the best thing is you have a full case and you can open up.
You know the story.
Yes.
12 bottles, wait 5 years, 1 bottle per year, and when you enjoy the wine, drink all the rest of the case.
Yes, that's perfect.
Now, 2018. 2018 is the year of record. You have to know that to date, it was the highest temperature ever in Bordeaux. We have a weather station. We have the data since 1996, and you can feel the global warming in 2018. Weather conditions were great. Beautiful summer, hot conditions during the day, not too hot during the night, fortunately. In the end, we succeeded to have a pH 3.52, which gives a lot of freshness and acidity, and it was necessary because the degrees of alcohol of the 18 in Bordeaux is around 1 degree more than the average. So this wine, even if you don't feel it on the nose, have almost 14.7 degrees of alcohol, but a very nice pH, which makes the wine very elegant, smooth, and easier to approach compared to 2016. It's the most powerful and rich wine in the modern history of Lagrange.
It's very elegant in a nose.
Very elegant. A lot of fruit, fresh fruit, black cherry, blackberry, blackcurrant as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of the smallest size of berries ever. Strong tannins.
Very fleshy. You want to drink, you want to keep drinking.
Yes.
You get thirsty of it, eh?
You get thirsty.
It's a very addictive wine. If you compare to the 16, 18, people will think, oh, you need to drink the 16 sooner, but 18 is very much approachable.
18 is much more approachable, because when you have a lot of alcohol in the wine, it gives also more roundness at the attack, and the wine looks more approachable.
It's a lovely vintage, wow.
We are so lucky over the last decade, Saint-Julien, but almost in Bordeaux. You have no bad vintage anymore in our region. You have some vintages that you can enjoy earlier than before, but what is impressive is how the purity and how the wine are precise nowadays compared to 30 or 40 years ago.
Wow.
A sort of consistency nowadays, almost on every vintage.
Okay.
So, alors, I would like to thank you, Yannick, because you brought a bottle.
Yes.
You know that I'm a fan of blind tasting.
I have a special surprise for you.
You brought a special surprise.
So I will let you serve it. And I'm guessing. I hope you can know something, or I can surprise you with it. Huh?
So maybe you can't see the color, but I will show you. I will show you.
So I took a Lagrange, an older one, to surprise Matthieu, because I know he loves comparing and learning. And
as you know, we don't have a lot of bottle before the 80s at the chateau. We have some, but not all the vintage, so I appreciate a lot. I don't know if I have tasted this vintage already. The color is...
It's great.
It's great. Yeah. It looks like a little bit... Burgundy is lighter compared to nowadays, for sure. I would say...
I'm not going to say any too much.
No,
I'm going to.
I try to guess, because I love to play. I love to play. Oh, spicy notes. Some black cherry with eau de vie. smoky notes also. I confirm, came from Lagrange. The style, we recognize the style of the terroir, and it's ripe. There is no greenness.
No, I was a little bit worried about the greenness, but it's okay.
Yes, it could be a very good vintage.
And it's not corked, so that's also
it's
good.
It's not corked. It's a good, it's a good surprise.
Okay.
Yes, some mint also.
Wow.
The attack is very smooth, so silky. It's quite full-bodied inside.
Yeah.
It's a great vintage. I think you brought a great vintage.
I don't know. I don't know.
I hesitate. I tasted 6 months ago the 1982. Could be the 1982 or a little bit later. I won't say it's 70s. I would say early 80s or end of 70s. I hesitate. Okay. Can I guess 2 vintage?
You can you can guess 2 vintages.
Bon. 1982. Even if I'm not sure, I would say 40% 1982, 60% a hot vintage in Bordeaux. In the middle of 70s, I would guess 1976. So 60% 1976, 40% 1982. I haven't tasted 1976, but I suppose it was really hot in Bordeaux, and when it's hot, cab are ripe, so it could explain how this wine is so elegant, so smooth, and perfect to do now.
Do you want to reveal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bon. Blind tasting is a stool of humility. You have to know that. The whole label, so it's before
1976.
1976.
Crazy, huh?
Great. I
Great
have never
condition.
tasted this wine.
Great condition.
But
I
in
got
my
lucky.
idea, it could be like that.
It was a great condition bottle, so that's why I took it for sure.
Thank you so much.
No problem. It's my pleasure. You do so much for us. I always try to give back.
If you have a 1976 in your cellar, open it. Yes. Don't wait too much time. Life is too short, and drink it. Wine has not been decanted. Maybe you can decant for 30 minutes, but it's already ready to drink. Beautiful wine.
I've tested this wine last week, just to be sure. But yeah, it's great wine. Good, huh?
Really good.
Thank you for having me, Matthieu.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for this perfect lineup. And I hope you've learned a lot, and maybe it was an interesting guide for you on how to wait and how long, when to open your bottles. And if you have any questions about Lagrange, you can contact them.
And if you can join us at Lagrange, we will be more than pleased to welcome you to taste, not maybe every day this range, but I assure you that we will have a big emotion at Lagrange.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Voilà.
Bye-bye.
That's it.